Hi guys, I'm Doritos, and today is our second round of roasting your FIFA 23 Ultimate teams, where I just check out your guys' teams and then give you my thoughts. Let's get into it. First up, we have Barks. Let's have a little look and see what he's working with. So, Shapeshifter Mahrez, Abraham Son, really solid attackers. He's got that new, is it like Buchanan card, Milinkovic-Savic, very meta. He's even got that 98 Goretzka, which is a very top tier centre mid pairing to have with Milinkovic-Savic. As far as the defence goes, that level up Davies, who I wish I had the time to complete. Zaha, this is a very meta team. You've got Petit 95 and World Cup Lucio, who I actually have on my main account. He still holds up now. You could argue a little bit slow, and potentially that is like kind of maybe one of the areas you could improve, but still a great centre-back. Taps over in goal. Let's just see what you're working with on the bench here. Lots of solid players and a red Benz. I would say in terms of a meta standpoint, the only real thing here that you could improve on paper are the centre-back pairings. Petit is only controlled. He isn't lengthy. And then you've got Lucio, who, like I say, even though I also really like him, you could argue he is a bit slow at this point in the game. So realistically, it's a very meta team. So the only place I would look to put your funds heading into this very back end of the end game is just getting some elite centre-backs. But honestly, just a really strong squad throughout. Next up, we have John Carlos Moreno's FIFA 23 Ultimate Team. As soon as I glanced at this screen, I just see that Pele, and I'm like... In fact, let's see. Is this a first owner card? If it is, that is crazy. Oh, it's first owner? Oh, my word. Oh, it must be nice. Eusebio, I suppose you could have done the SBC potentially, so I'm going to assume first owner as well. Very nice. You've also done Rodrigo, Son. I mean, this is a very meta team, isn't it? You've got Martial as your box-to-box next to the Milinkovic-Savic, who I assume is your DM. What a front four that is. Defensively, you've got Varane and Diaz, which is a great pairing. Not full meta. Like, you could go like Team of the Year Van Dijk with maybe like a Delict or something, but realistically, like, we're splitting hairs there. These two are phenomenal options. Camavinga is a left back that is definitely held in the S tier by a lot of people. I know I kind of have my own little problem with him, but that's just me. And then Zaha, another very meta wing back. Obviously the best keeper in the game there in Van der Sar. Some phenomenal players on the bench as well. Zidane, Prime, Red Osimhen, Leao, even a Red Bernardo, which is quite a cool pull, actually. That's one not many people do have red. Anyone here on the reserves? Crikey did Kaka. You've got a Prime Jarzinho there, Red Theo, Red Marquinhos. That is one of the best teams that I've seen so far. That is just, like, you're really going to struggle to improve a team like this. You've got the better version of Varane, but we've kind of passed the point where you can really get the better version. Diaz, there's probably 2 or 3 centre-backs better than him, maybe Delict. I'd personally say foot-birthing Maldini, but it depends what you want. Like, yeah, another phenomenal team. Not much to say on this one either. And because of the balance you've got in the build, you could basically play any formation as well. So, yeah, congrats. That's an amazing account. Next up, we have 7M43's Ultimate Team. Face value, lots of really cool players in here, and some choices that aren't actual common picks, but still very good. And the cards that, for example, like Ramos, Cancelo, cards that look maybe debatably a bit behind the curve, I still really like, because they're just the sort of cards that work so well in game that they get dismissed just because of the rating on the front of the card. I still use Ramos when I can fit him in, so I can't knock it. You've got Czech and Cruyff up top, which is very nice. Insigne, which is a really cool cheap footies card. You mentioned you got this version of Griezmann, so he can utilise Trivelas with his left centre mid in a 4-1-2-1-2 narrow. So again, I really rate that, because that's a 5-5 version of Griezmann that you've still got a Trivela threat with. So really good conscious thinking there with your team build. This Depay card is really overlooked. He looks awesome. The Objective Rodri card, a really solid DM. One that honestly will probably perform up there with the best of them, because he's a free card, will probably get overlooked. Cancelo, Kimpembe. You could argue Cancelo maybe could be upgraded for like a better wing back, like I mean, it wouldn't fit your team, but I was going to say like a Davies or something. But realistically, Cancelo's animations in game are awesome. I got nearly 1,000 games on his out of position card this year, so I know how good he is in game. Looking at the bench, oh my word. I feel like with your team, you've really found the players that just work for you, because on paper, you've got better players on the bench. Best. You've got the new Forlan, you've got the Pushkas card, you've got Zambrotta, you've got Vitinha. Some phenomenal cards there. Anyone here on the reserves? You crafted that Kante, probably one of a few, fair play. You even got Prime Zidane. There's a few of you guys that don't have Prime Zidane in your starting 11. I'm surprised. I don't know if it's a stamina thing maybe, but gosh, I'd still be rocking Prime Zidane personally. But hey, whatever works. Phenomenal account once again, and I really appreciate with this one how conscious you've been with what you need mechanically in game with your build. Not feeling the need to just get the highest rated players in possible, but going for what works for you. So really awesome team once again. Next up, we have Chadachi Nawadike. He says he's been on Ultimate Team for 4 weeks because they've just got the servers in Nigeria. So on face value, you've done an amazing job. You must have been really grinding this game out because not a player sub 91 on the starting 11. So fair play. You've got 2 really good lengthy strikers up top, probably 2 of the best in Czech and Abraham as far as lengthy, skillful strikers are concerned. You've got that new Galeno card who I'm actually really keen to try. He's actually formatted really nice for how cheap he is. You've also got Shaqiri in there. He's caught a bump by the looks of it with that injury. You've done the objective, Rodri card, and you've got Witzel there next to him, so a really nice pairing in the midfield. You could argue maybe a little bit clunky, but Witzel's and Rodri's base dribbling are actually quite good, so I can't imagine that is actually a problem in game. Grimaldo's team of the season, actually a very good wing back because his base pace is maxed out, so you can format him kind of any way that you see fit. A bit like Davies, it's such an advantage to them having max pace at base. Speaking of max pace at base, you also have this new Ferrari card, who actually is very good in game. I have to say, he's not like S tier by any stretch of the imagination, but for a free card, for a card that literally just costs your time, he's actually one probably worth going for if you are lacking in the centre-back department. Let's have a little look at your bench. I don't blame the bench being a little bit lacking if you've only been on the game a few weeks, but still players that are more than good enough off of the bench, to be quite honest, and then we're a little bit weaker there on the reserves. The one thing I would say for you, being on a newer game, even though you've got very good cards, your chemistry is 20 out of 33. So just try and establish which players you like the most and then add players to the team that are of like the same league and nationality, just so you get the full boost on the stats with your chemistry styles. Because if someone came up against your team with players of like the same ratings but had full chemistry, they've actually got more stats over your players, and you don't want to be putting yourself at a disadvantage. For a new account, you've done phenomenally well, but I would say towards this end game, just aim to get a bit better chemistry in your team, and it will just make that little bit more of a difference. Next up, we've got Son of Soren. Now, he specifically asked what formation tactics to use to get the best out of the team, and also any recommended replacements whilst still maintaining the chemistry. So, looking at your team, right off the bat, I see you've got 3 defensively capable midfielders and 3 obvious attackers. So, realistically, anything with like a diamond or a dedicated front 3 would work. So, you're talking 4-1-2-1-2 narrow, 4-3-1-2, 4-3-2-1, 5-2-1-2, 3-5-2, all of these would work. However, I would say it might be worth getting maybe Cruz out of the team and replacing him with a more dedicated attacker, or at least somebody that has defensive capabilities that is better going forward. Let's see who you've got on the bench. Like that Socrates, I would have in over Cruz any day of the week. I'm not certain how much that'll affect your chem without taking ages looking at it, but someone like Socrates, I would definitely have in over Cruz, just have a bit more attacking presence. But realistically, any of the formations I said, 4-3-1-2, 4-3-2-1, 5-2-1-2, anything with 3 obvious attackers you're going to have success with. I've got tactics on the channel for all of those, so just go for whichever one sounds most preference to you. In terms of players, like I say, Cruz isn't one I enjoyed, so I would personally replace him. That Socrates is more than good enough as a replacement. I personally wouldn't use Rudiger, since he's Real Madrid. I guess team of the season Benzema would be a phenomenal replacement. If you do want to play a fullback, Kimmich isn't quick enough to play as a right back, so I'd probably get Kimmich out for the fastest wing back in Bundesliga, whoever that is, maybe Frimpong, someone like that, if that doesn't affect your chemistry too much. But realistically, you've got a really strong team here. Is there anyone else on the subs bench here? You've got really good substitutes as well. So if you want to play fullback, get rid of Kimmich. I would replace Cruz with somebody with a bit more attacking presence, and when you've got the funds, I would replace Rudiger with Benzema. I can't imagine that would affect your chem too much, but they're kind of the obvious things I would change, but realistically, super strong team. Next up, we've got Samuel Lugo. He's also said, keep up the good work, so thank you, mate. I do appreciate that. Looking at your team on face value, I'm just like instantly jealous of that strike partnership. A red Haaland and Footy's Royce up top is a great start. Son in at cam, really, really nice. You've actually got Busquets paired with Pedri, which is a partnership I've had on my second account for a long time, basically since Busquets came out. Those two together are just phenomenal. And then the fact you've got Musiala is like the most attacking orientated centre mid there, another one who I've used tons on every account, just an amazing player. You've got Klosterman at left back, and in the previous video, I mentioned someone who had a Klosterman at left back. I said about replacing him with Davies to have more of an attacking presence on the left side if you want to commit your left back. But the guy was saying basically Klosterman's AI is apparently nuts. So if you have the same experience, then I don't blame you for using Klosterman. I'm sure he's amazing in game. If you ever do like to switch to a 5-back or a 3-back as well, obviously Klosterman would do an amazing job there. You've also got Zaha in a right back, a really meta wing back. Koulibaly and a red Diaz. Can't knock that. Phenomenal. A lot of you guys use ter Stegen. I didn't get on with him, even though I used the gold card for like 400 or 500 games. I just didn't get on with the team of the season for whatever reason, but use whatever goalie works. Obviously, goalies are different for everybody. So as your bench goes, like a lot of you, just really strong options here. You've got Milinkovic, Savic. You know, I really rate that you've got Busquets in over Savic because I love Busquets. You've got a team of the season De Bruyne, Shaqiri, which a lot of you guys have done because he's very good for the price. Zambrotta, a very, very good card. Red Theo. Lots of good options there. Anyone here on the reserves? Oh my word, you've got Ferran Torres' upgraded card, you've got Werner, End of an Era Alba as well, another very underrated card. A red Modric, which I feel like a lot of us got somehow at some point, another very good card. Phenomenal account. I must admit, the way you formatted your team, other than the fact you've got a more defensive orientated left back, this is very, very close to like a team I would build. Like this very much ticks every sort of box that I would want in a team. For me, like I'm kind of becoming a broken record now. I'd personally have Davies in for Klosterman just for that 5-star skilled left footer. Actually saying it, you probably could commit a wing back, but just use Zaha instead looking at it. So you potentially do that. I don't know. I'd be interested to know what formation you play down below. It looks very, very 4-3-2-1 potential, but you could definitely play it in the formation you've set up in as well. But yeah, I'm rambling a bit here. Very, very, very good team. Next up, we have Mugger Chickens, FIFA 23 Ultimate Team. He's also put, love your videos, Greta. So again, thank you very much, guys. I appreciate all the kind words. Looking at this team, he says he plays it in a 4-2-2 with Kroos and Savic as the DMs. So I'm going to assume you play Werner and Abraham up front. And I have no idea who your two cams are. It'd be Rodrigo and one other, but I'm assuming it's got to be Camavinga or Goosens, but both of those are quite defensive. I mean, to be fair, what I would say then, right off the bat, if you're playing 4-2-2, whoever the defensive sort of player you're using at cam, just switch them out for someone with like a true attacking presence, just because that looks slightly too defensive if you're playing 4-2-2, but nonetheless, you've got great players in here. Rodrigo's an amazing card. Savic is a really meta DM. I love this Footies Goosens card. He's literally as good as anyone, in my opinion. Dumfries is a solid right back, considering most people use this right back as more of a stay back option. Smalling and Becker, a cheap and cheerful, but very, very effective back line. Another ter Stegen in goal, so he's obviously working a lot better for you guys than me. Some really cool players here on the bench as well. You've got that Nunes card. You've also got End of an Era Busquets. We've got a Chiesa here. That's not one you see often. You also got Ferrari done, which is very nice. Who we got here on the reserves? Czech, Zambrotta. A lot of you guys have got those two done as well. Both really good options. Buchanan. You've got Roussillon, Chalanola. I mean, lots and lots of good options there for you. And I can see how you could easily switch in other players in this formation as well because of the links that you've got. Really, really solid options throughout. I would say if you want to get your team full meta, get the defensive orientated cam as a more true attacker, and just when you've got the funds, upgrade those centre-backs to, you know, your elite level players, your Diaz's, your Varans, your Van Dijks, your Maldinis. Anyone of that calibre that you can get in is just going to make that bit of difference in the defence. Next up, we have Codex Gaming's updated team. Just so you guys are aware, I'm literally going through these in the order that they've been sent. We will be doing a third video on these because of how many you guys have submitted. With this team, it's been updated very strongly, I have to say. Abraham and Figo up front as a dynamic is awesome. Shaqiri and Zola as your more nimble options in the attack are fantastic. Benacer is a ball player. Now with that anchor chemistry style, getting him uncontrolled as I discussed with him. So that's a really nice improvement on the card there. Milinkovic, Savic. Really, really meta DM. Orsolini, a really overlooked wing-back, really good defensive option in Theo. Maldini and Vidic are both auto-defenders. Szczesny, actually one of the keepers I prefer in this game over others, but he isn't used much, but really, really solid there. As far as your bench goes, lots of good options here. You've even got 97 Royce on the bench, 96 Depay, Kalimawani, Kalanolo, Czech, you've even got the 5-star skill Van Persie there. I wonder if you packed him. You did. Very, very nice. So you've got some really good icon pools here, actually. Let's have a look. You've even got Ramos, Cahill, Savinid. Did you actually pack this Figo as well? Gosh, you did. You know, they're not like top tier pools, but they're just really like usable cards. Me personally, again, kind of like I said with one of the other teams, the way this is formatted and the way it's balanced, it's a team that I would use because you've got 4 obvious attackers, you've got a good dynamic as the midfield pairing, you've got automatic centre backs, and then you've got a defensive wing back and then one that's very capable of going forward. I'd personally prefer it if the left back was the overlapper and the right back was the more defensive one, but I mean that's just me with what I've gotten used to with what I have. But yeah, phenomenal team, really, really balanced. Now I really do feel like you've improved your team since the last video. That just looks really, really good. Next up, we have Neildougal's ultimate team. On face value, this looks absolutely cranked. So you've got Pogba and Abraham. There's 2 sort of obvious strike force options. You've got the 99 Pelly there. Is this another first owner one? Oh my word, must be nice. You've got Rodrigo done as well. Prime Zidane in the starting 11, which I rate. Also first owner. You've got Milinkovic-Savic paired with him, which is a really, really overpowered dynamic there. You've actually completed Carlos, not alone, so respect to you on that one as well. Just got him done by the looks of things. Marquinhos and Militao as a partnership is really nice. That's actually like a really strong meta pairing that you don't often see. Militao more so than Marquinhos. Marquinhos, you could argue, isn't quite S tier. And potentially, looking at it, the only obvious improvement for your team. You've got Atal there at wing-back, fair play. That's a very nice card. Van der Sar, best keeper in the game. You've even got Davies on the bench. 98 Goretzka on the bench. You've got Muriel done as well, so you're obviously a decent player as well to have got him done in the first round of games. That's fantastic. Really, really stacked. You've got Jacinho on the reserves. Since you've got a great team, I will try and be critical. So I would say to make this as meta as possible, I would get Marquinhos out for just one of those like top 3 level centre backs. And then where your strike force is concerned, Pogba is basically a better Tammy Abraham. So essentially, get Abraham out for someone more like maybe that new foot birthday Eusebio, or just someone a little bit more nimble. Not necessarily as nimble as Pele, but even like an R9 in there next to Pogba with Pele, and that would kind of give you a perfect balance in the attack. But realistically, you know, you're obviously getting a lot of wins in the champs, and this is a crank team, so you don't need to listen to what I have to say. I'm just trying to nitpick because I'm so jealous of the account. Next up, we have enticedesigns FIFA Ultimate Team. Let's see what they're working with. So, looks very balanced in the build. You've got back 4, 2 obvious centre mids, and then 4 obvious attackers. And I have to say, you've got phenomenal AI basically everywhere for everything. You've obviously got honourable, I will say honourable mentions. It's Moments Ronaldo, Arnold, which is a card that I love. I'm assuming you crafted that prime Ronaldinho, which was one heck of a grind. So fair play, yeah. First owner, 519 games you've got on him. You've done Footy Son. Your pairing in midfield is Milinkovic-Savic, who's very meta despite the fact he was cheap. And a first owner, Shapeshifter Socrates. That's a really nice pack pull. You've actually got Carlos crafted, not the loan. Dumfries is more of a defensive wing back. Is this whole team first owner? You've got Team of the Year Van Dijk, also first owner, 1,266 games. My word, wait, was Ronaldo first owner? Surely not. No, you've bought the Ronaldo. Okay, there's some sense in the world. So you haven't packed everyone, but incredible team. Best keeper in the game. Koulibaly and Van Dijk at the back is pretty much as good as it gets. You've got Kessie. The new Rodrigo's already hit the bench. Abraham, Camavinga. You've even got Neuer, Aubameyang. My word, so many good cards. And then you've just got Czech chilling the reserves because what's a FIFA 23 Ultimate Team if you haven't got Czech this year? Am I right? This is just a true, like, solid team. I know it's not like 98 rateds everywhere, but like most people would take a Prime Dino over most of the higher rated cards. So yeah, I can't fault this team. I think it's formatted really, really nice and super meta as well. Next up, we have QuickAbe's FIFA Ultimate Team. So right off the bat, I see the 15-win Muriel, so you're obviously a good player. And you've also got Prime R9 in there as well. He's going to be first owner, isn't he? Of course he is. Crafted Footy Sun there, obviously a really good card. You've got Goretzka and Milinkovic-Savic there, but you've also got Musiala. But Musiala, even though he's got defensive capabilities, I think most people do think of as a true attacker, so still very balanced there. You said you play a 4-3-2 or a 3-5-2, so I'm assuming when you go into a 5-back, you probably use Klosterman there and then Musiala as a wing-back, I would guess. Potentially you drop Goretzka or Savic in at centre-back, but I think Klosterman being a centre-back naturally would be the one that makes the most sense. Realistically, the only proper improvement that you're going to see in this team that is noticeable is getting that Ferrari card out for someone up to the level of Maldini. But I know a lot of you guys are actually getting on with him a lot and you like him, and I have used him and I do really like him as well, so I don't blame you guys for keeping him, particularly with the fact he's naturally a left footer as well. It's nice to have that on the left side of the defence. But like I say, if we're nitpicking, you can replace Ferrari with somebody like Delict, who would slot straight into this team. So that's all I can really say on this one, but phenomenal team once again. Next up, we've got MrDavester. He's actually got two teams, so we'll have a quick fire through the both of them. He says this is the one he prefers. So he's got Rijkaard, Depay, Rodrigo, Rashford, so some very strong runners in there, but also good ability on the ball with players like Rodrigo. Casemiro and Kroos and DM is a little bit stiff. I would probably want one of them to be a bit more nimble. I'd probably swap out Kroos for more of a Modric-esque player, but I know a lot of you guys are getting on with this card, so I can't knock it. Goossens is an excellent wing-back. Team of the Year Van Dijk and this Footy's Koulibaly is one of the best pairings you can have right now. Dumfries is a solid defensive right-back as well. Yashin in goal, if he works, he works. As far as the bench goes, I see you've got Messi and Mbappe on the bench, and you did mention that you've got a second team because it hurts you to see these on the bench. So we'll quickly check out that team in a moment. But really, really solid players. Even Delict, Salah, Abraham, Kante, end of an era, all on the bench. Got a Red Kane, as many of us do. Kalanolu, Shaqiri, Kolomouani, even Footy Son's already hit the reserves. Really, really solid team. I would, like I say, go for someone slightly more nimble instead of Kroos, potentially. But yeah, other than that, not really much to say. Really, really strong team. Having a look at your second team, like I say, on paper, I agree, it does look better. I have to say this team does look better on paper. But I respect that you found what works for you, so that's what you run with. You know, that's what it's all about. It's all about finding what works for ourselves. So you've got Czech up front, really solid pairing there with Mbappe. Team of the season, Messi with Rashford. I mean, that's a hell of an attack. It's surprising that you don't prefer it, to be honest. You've got Rodri paired with Kante. Really nice dynamic there. It's quite an interesting dynamic because you're like defensive animals, the little guy, and your ball player's the bigger guy, which is kind of back to front, but it works. Then you've got this Henrique card as your left back. I think this version has the 5-star skill moves. Yes, it does. So that's actually a really good ball-playing sort of left-back, that is. You've got Team of the Year, Hakimi. I'm assuming that's the first owner. Oh, no, you've actually bought that. Fair enough. And then you've got Diaz and Van Dijk at the back. De Gea in net, who is obviously your keeper of choice. On the bench, you've already dropped Rodrigo to the bench, but he is in your team and the other one, I suppose. You've got Depay, Kroos, Salah, Delict. I mean, if it were me, I'd definitely be running with this team just to be a meta rat and have the best chance possible. But hey, whatever works. Massive thank you to each and every one of you that sent in your teams. If you did send your team and you weren't included in the video, don't worry. I'm just going through these in the order that have been sent in. We'll cover you in the next video. As always though, guys, if you made it this far in the video, I really appreciate your time. If you did enjoy it, please subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and turn your bell on. Take care, guys.